Hey, Dr. Doug, I think of you as the reptilian and amphibian specialist because you have extra degrees in those things and wrote textbooks. But you like lots of small mammals too. You have quite a few medium-sized mammals in your own home, right? I
I
mean,
sure do.
you're
How you
just
doing, Tracy?
gorgeous,
Everything is
Doug. Everything's good over here.
good.
Rabbits. People love rabbits. We have wonderful companies making the good food, the good bedding, the good environmental enrichment. But there are things that can get itchy on a rabbit that people may not realize probably require a vet.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, one of the most common presentations to veterinary offices for pet rabbits is skin disease.
Huh.
And the most common skin disease is mites. Rabbits are prone to getting a lot of the same things that our dogs and cats get. In fact, they get a lot of the same parasites that dogs and cats get. Most people don't realize that. For instance, rabbits can get dog fleas, rabbits can get cat fleas. So if you've got dogs and cats and rabbits in the same house, you can expect your rabbit, good chance it's going to get fleas just like the dogs and cats. Rabbits also have their very own special flea, which is unique, not very common, because they're only going to get that from other rabbits. And so if you don't have a lot of other rabbits around, then you don't have to worry about that. So we're not going to talk a lot about fleas, other than the fact that if you have a rabbit with fleas, we'll treat those fleas the same way we'll treat them with mites. So mites are actually a lot more common. Now, what's interesting to know, and I have to laugh because I'm sure most of your listeners, and I'm sure you probably watch TV. In the last probably 4 or 5 months, they've been showing these disgusting commercials about people with mites on their eyes.
Lucky I've missed that.
Oh, people have a mite in their eye called Demodex, and it lives in the little tear ducts in your eyes. Everybody has it. You've got it. I've got it. I can see them on you right now.
My eyeballs? Wow.
No, but they're there. Everybody carries them. So the point I'm trying to make is rabbits carry mites too. It's part of their normal skin flora, and 99.9% of the time they never cause any problem at all. Every once in a while, if a rabbit gets ill, gets sick or immunocompromised or stressed, then the rabbits, just like they do in dogs and cats and people, the mites can become a problem in rabbits. Also, you'll see rabbits that are exposed to an overabundance of mites, and then the normal amount of mites that they have in their skin are incidental because they get extra mites and then they become a problem. So there's two main groups of mites that we see in rabbits. One of them is called the skin mite, and in the vernacular or in the rabbit world, they call them walking dandruff because it literally looks like big flakes of chunky white skin that's peeling off. And if you watch it, if you just sit real quietly and watch your rabbit, you'll actually see these little flakes of skin move.
We did a
And
show about that early on, the first year of the show. Walk
yeah,
Dandruff. But
yeah.
but now there's other things that people need to be aware of as well as the walking dandruff, right?
So the walking dandruff can affect the rabbit, and it usually affects the area on their back between their shoulders, but it can affect the entire rabbit. And their skin just looks dull and dry, lackluster, sometimes patchy because the rabbit's itchy and they chew at their skin and pull their fur out. Then the other type of mite is called the ear mite. So the walking dandruff is in a genus called Chilatiella. There's many different species, which we don't need to go into. And then the ear mite is Psoroptes, and that's the one that generally affects the ears. And it can start out as it looks like little dirty, crusty waxes in their ears, just like dirty ears. But then it can progress to the point where it completely effaces the inner ear. And the crusts from the mites are so thick that and they're so heavy, the ears, which would normally stand up, fall down because the mites are so thick and heavy and they're extremely painful. Those mites generally stick to the ears, but they can sometimes affect the eyes, and sometimes you'll see it around their nose. And then if it's really bad, those mites will also crawl all over the body too. So the walking dandruff mites generally are body mites, and the ear mites are usually more on the ears and the rest of the head. The good news is that both of them are very easy to treat once you identify them. So before I talked about that, let's talk about where do these mites come from. As I mentioned, just like the people with the mites in the eyes, a lot of the rabbits will have these mites just as background flora on their skin, never cause a problem. You won't even know they're there. Something stresses the rabbit, gets sick, whatever the case may be, then the mites proliferate, or they get exposed to a larger abundance of mites. And where do they get those? The most common place they get them are from people that have indoor-outdoor cats, because cats, especially the walking dandruff mites, cats can get those too. So can dogs, but they're more common in cats. So you get a kitty cat that runs outside, comes back in through the cat door, snuggles with the rabbit, or sleeps on the same pillow as the rabbit, or shares the same carpet. Boom, the rabbit's going to get the mites from the cat. And you, Tracie, if you go out and you go over to a friend's house and pet a rabbit or walk across the carpet and they have mites in their house, they get on your shoes, you go home, you play with your rabbit, you walk on your carpet, your rabbit walks on your carpet, now your rabbit can get mites. So mites can transfer back and forth, kind of like fleas can. So that's where they come from. They're everywhere. And once they get in the environment, they're really hard to get rid of. So we're going to talk about that too as we wrap up. But getting back to let's start with the ear mites, because those are the most painful ones. Some of these rabbits with these severe ear infections, I don't know if you've ever had water in your ear. You know how uncomfortable it is after you go swimming? It's just, it's really annoying. Can you imagine having a living insect in your ear, crawling around, chewing, sucking your lymph, eating your skin, eating the oils on your skin? It's very uncomfortable. Ideally, you should go to the veterinarian and have the animal treated as a whole pet. Get a good thorough physical exam, make sure there's not some underlying problem that are causing the mites to be more problematic. You want to always want to make sure that you look at the whole animal. Assuming that everything looks good, let's go ahead and treat the mites. Some very simple at-home methods. 50% white vinegar, 50% water, mix it all up, squirt it in the ears, gently massage it. Don't scratch off the scabs, because those scabs are like nature's bandage. Leave those on, they'll fall off when it heals. And the vinegar and the water oftentimes will be enough if it's a real mild infection. A little more advanced infection, get some mineral oil. And you take some mineral oil and you squirt it in the ears, gently massage it in the rabbit's ears, and the mineral oil coats the mite and suffocates the mite, and the mites will die. The oil also coats the inside of the ear, makes the ear feel more comfortable. Don't peel the scabs off, because that's nature's bandage. They will fall off on their own and look totally normal. That's for minor infestations of mites. If you start getting some of the worse, where they're cracked and thick and everything else, then you go to the doctor, and there's a medication called ivermectin.
Yep.
Real simple. One injection of ivermectin, you repeat it 2 weeks later, these animals are completely back to new in about 21 days, which is nice.
Wow.
And you don't have to do anything. I always put them on pain meds, because I think these animals are extremely uncomfortable, and that makes a big difference. Now, things that you can do to help prevent mites or treat mites at home. Again, these are all veterinary prescriptions. Probably the one that is the most commonly used is called Advantage Multi. Okay. Now, Advantage Multi has the active ingredients are moxidectin and imidacloprid. These are prescription-only drugs. You can get them on the internet with the prescription from your family veterinarian. It's important to point out that these are not FDA approved for rabbits. They are FDA approved for dogs, cats, and ferrets, but it's an extra label use, and it's what's called standard of care. And all small mammal veterinarians will use the Advantage Multi in rabbits, and it works for rabbit fleas, dog fleas, and cat fleas, but it also works for the mites, and it works for both the body mites, the walking dandruff, and it works for the ear mites.
Wow.
So it'll just take care of the ears, take care of the walking dandruff. And one application, it's a topical you put between the shoulder blades, lasts about 21 days. So if you've got a situation where you only have maybe one rabbit or two rabbits, you put the Advantage Multi on them, you may never have to use it again. If you've got a situation where you got a bunch of rabbits, you may have to use it frequently. Or if you have a situation where you have cats that are coming and going, or rabbits that live outside, then you may have to use it on a regular basis. But many times, just one treatment alone will take care of it. Another one that's commonly used is called Revolution. And Revolution has something in it called selamectin. It also works really well, but it only lasts about 7 days. So again, for a single dose treatment, Revolution is great, takes care of it. If they're not re-exposed to the mites, you have nothing to worry about. And it's very safe. It's not approved for ferrets, but again, standard of care. Veterinarians use it All the veterinarians use it in rabbits, and it's accepted, it's safe, we know it works. There is one that you have to be real careful of, and that's called fipronil. And people think if you can use Advantage, you can use Revolutions, they're cat products, we can use too. You don't want to use fipronil. Fipronil is actually when it's used in dogs and cats, but has also been shown to be lethal in rabbits. So definitely stay away from fipronil. So the one that I would say to remember, or the two to remember, would be Advantage Multi or the Revolution. Both of those work extremely well.
But as you pointed out, you need a full body checkup by the vet first. Something's going a little wrong with that rabbit. Therefore, its immune system is somewhat suppressed. Just something a little wrong doesn't have to be deathly ill, because in rabbits, they can get deathly ill very quickly.
They're pretty good at hiding things.
Yeah. So you need the vet to say, okay, it checks out. I'm just going to treat the mites instead of, oh, there's also an underlying maybe malnutrition or some other problem that's going on with the rabbit. Well,
Right.
ear mites, gross. So anybody who's let the ear mites get to the point where the ears flop over and the ears are totally crusted over, that's so hard.
Well, it's a function of knowing the normal. Oftentimes it's just ignorance, and I don't say that in a disparaging way. Ignorance means you just don't know. Okay.
Right.
And if you don't know that the ears are supposed to be crusty, it's not until somebody points
Right.
out, say, hey, wait a minute, your rabbit's ears are crusty. Why are they like that?
Right.
But
That's
I do want to bring up one more point that's really important, Tracie, and that
okay.
is, okay, let's say you bring your rabbit to the veterinarian, your rabbit gets the Advantage or the Revolution or the ivermectin treatment. Now you take it back home and you put it back in the dirty cage. Guess what? It's going to start all over again. So what you have to do when you take the rabbit to the veterinarian to get the treatment, you bring him home and you put him in a clean cage. So either you have somebody at home clean that cage out really good while you're gone, or you have a separate new clean cage to put that rabbit in, and then take that other cage and take it outside and clean it. So how do we clean it? There's two things you can do. One is you can use a pyrethrin spray, which is excellent for mice and dogs and cats, but I want a very important word of caution. Do not use pyrethrins on rabbits. They're very sensitive and you can make them very sick and even kill them. Pyrethrins, you can spray the cage down. It'll kill all the mites. You leave the cage outside for a couple of days in the fresh air and the sunshine. The pyrethrins will evaporate with the sunshine. Then they're safe to put the rabbit back in. So never put the pyrethrins on the rabbit in the same space, okay? So the pyrethrins are done outside. Another option is you take the cage outside, you clean it, scrub it really good, then take carbaryl powder. And carbaryl powder is the same kind of powder you find in Ortho 7 garden dust. Extremely safe. You can use it right on the skin of a cat or a dog. I wouldn't do it on a rabbit, but you can put it in their cage. You rub it in the cage really good, let it sit in there for a day or two, vacuum it out, and that'll kill the mites that are in the cage. So always put the rabbit that's been treated back into a clean cage, and then you don't have to worry about discontinuing.
What about something more naturalistic, like the vinegar you said could be good for their ears? Could I use white vinegar, distilled vinegar on the cage, or bleach instead of those other things, or would they not kill the mites?
I wouldn't use bleach because that can be pretty harsh, and bleach can also damage things in the cage. I have never used vinegar in a cage, so I'm not going to comment on that. I do know that the pyrethrin spray, once it's dry and safe and aired out, is completely safe, and the carbaryl works extremely well. That's used frequently, and you can use that if you have rats and mice that have mites or lice, you put carbaryl and you mix it in their bedding, and that's how safe it is. And a lot of times people will in their house will put carbaryl in their underneath their couch, underneath the pillows of the couch, and they'll sprinkle it on their carpet, and then they brush it in with a broom, and that kills fleas in the house. Carbaryl is very safe.
And it's fairly organic in its own
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is great. Ear mites. Your rabbit shouldn't have them. And listen to the show that Dr. Doug did with me on what is normal in an exotic, and that'll help you be wise and a good caretaker. Thank you so much, Dr. Doug.
Great, Tracie. Good talking to you as always.